Joining us now from RCT Center Studios is Guandaru Thuita, who is an advocate and a political analyst. We have seen the past few days the CORD coalition has taken to the streets to try and pile pressure on the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to have the top officials resign or bundle them out of the office. We've seen protests in Nairobi, in Kisumu and in Nakuru today. And Thuita will now join us to just put the issue of the IEBC into perspective. Thank you very much for joining us, Thuita. And straight into it, what do you make of the CORD coalition protest to have the IEBC bundled out of office?
Yes, thank you so much. To put the protests, all I can say is that they cannot be underestimated. They may not be the right procedure in which the commissioners can be removed, because it's already a procedure set out in the law, in the Constitution. But undoubtedly, it may lead to an increase in the topic of IEBC commissioners removal. And who knows, it might apply the pressure and they hit their target.
Do you think they will be able to marshal enough support and, of course, pile more pressure to have, of course, consequently have the IEBC top officials resign?
Of course, the CORD supporters are many, and they will, from time to time, in the major towns, perhaps Kisumu and Mombasa, Nairobi, they will be able to pile that pressure. But as to whether the IEBC commissioners who enjoy their security of tenure for the 6 years contract they have, as to whether they are going to come out is now another game. It might not happen.
Thuita, what would be the better procedure to follow to have the IEBC taken out of office or resign? Is this the best option the opposition coalition has?
Well, the most ideal way of removing the commissioners is to file a petition for their removal. Article 251 of the Constitution does not envisage a situation in which all the commissioners are removed at the same time. In fact, from the reading of that provision of the law, it talks about a member. So the situation is a member being removed. But if, of course, a petition is brought against each and every member, and Parliament discusses it and is satisfied and proceeds on to hand over their recommendations to the President, then a tribunal can be appointed. But the unfortunate thing is that with the tyranny of numbers, that motion is unlikely to pass through Parliament.
Are we saying that the Constitution did not provide another option to oust an independent body like the IEBC unless it goes through Parliament?
Yes, the law that the provided law is expressly Article 1, which is removal through petition that is submitted to Parliament. That is the only provision that is provided. Of course, we are all aware that members of the public can picket, can hold demonstrations, but that the results of those kind of demonstrations are not guaranteed. It doesn't mean that necessarily that after the hula baloo arises in the country, whether the members are going to come out, it is not guaranteed. But under Article 251, if the petition succeeds and the tribunal gives a verdict that the commissioners are to be removed, then it is going to be successful.
Thuita, if in the event that the IEBC or CORD manages to push out the IEBC or commissioners from office, is less than 15 months enough to have another body on board to be in charge of the 2017 general elections?
Technically, I can say that that is ample time for anybody to petition, for Parliament to go through the motions, for the President to appoint a tribunal. But realistically speaking, we know that the elections are just in about 1 year. There are so many other processes that are supposed to be taking place. And without a valid election body in charge, then the elections, one cannot be sure that they are going to happen. So the time is very, very limited for all these things to happen, because the tribunal, for example, if it is going to be, if the commissioners are challenged individually, this tribunal must hear all the petitions against all the commissioners, and that will not take a very short time. And what if it gives a verdict after several months, that some of them are going home, others are not going? We will not have adequate time for preparations of the elections.
Thuita, before I let you go, with the barely 15 months into the general election, we have a referee for the election whose credibility is questioned. We have a number of Kenyans that are not confident with this body. We have an opposition that is totally against it. And of course, a government who says we should follow the law when it comes to trying to oust such commissioners of an independent institution. What kind of scenario are we looking at? Where is the country being placed as of now?
Kenya is in a very delicate situation. It is not even 10 years since we underwent the election violence, and we have seen even some violence almost coming out in some by-elections. So we are not really completely hid. And with all these protests that have begun, and I've seen the CORD brigade saying that they are going to continue with them every week. All I can say is that we may be going back to the situation that we had. We are going to get more polarized, with some people saying, no, let's maintain the status quo, with others saying, no. And it might, of course, take on a tribal angle, which would not be good for this country. So maybe the leaders that we have should think about dialogue. Where the IEBC has gone wrong, the leaders can sit down together with the IEBC so that that confidence that has been lost so far can be regained.
All right, thank you very much, Thuita, for joining us. That is advocate and political analyst Guandaru Thuita joining us from our City Center studios, saying we can explore the option of national dialogue